Are you considering starting a car rental business and don't know if Turo or Getaround is the right solution for you? Well, in this video, we're going to be breaking down the pros and cons of Turo and Getaround and help you decide which platform to rent your cars on. And we're getting started right now. Hey everyone, it's George with Car Rental Coach. If you're looking to boost your car rental profits like we have, or even build your own car rental fleet, make sure to subscribe and click the like button so you never miss another video. We consult with clients every single day and help them build passive income through car rentals while avoiding all of the obstacles we came across while doing this ourselves. We only take on so many clients at once, so if you want to see if you qualify to work with us, go to carrentalcoach.com and fill out the 60-second survey to see if we could be a good fit to help you grow your car fleet business. All right, now let's discuss the pros and cons of both Turo and Getaround. So to give you guys a background on what I started with, the very first platform I ever did was HireCar, which that platform primarily allows you to rent vehicles to Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers. From there, I moved on to Getaround. So around 3 years ago, Getaround had bonuses dependent on the zip code you were located in. So at this time, Getaround was trying to gain market share over Turo. And I found out about Getaround before Turo because it was heavily marketed to me within my area. So I'm located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Getaround was really trying to grow in my area and a few other cities. And they were trying to take market cap from Turo. So what they decided to do was add certain zip codes that they would provide bonuses to the hosts that would put their cars in these zip codes. So how that worked, for example, if they wanted you to put your car in a, say, busier part of the city, they would give you a few different zip codes that would qualify. You would park your car there for Getaround, and they would automatically give you a $1,000 bonus for putting your car and listing it on the platform. And on top of that, they even gave you guaranteed earnings of around $800 to even $1,100 a month, depending on the make, model, and the zip code you put your car in. I thought that was crazy and it was a great deal, so I went full force into it. I ended up getting 11 cars on Getaround and putting them in 5 different zip codes throughout the city. So to do that, I would then pay storage on all the vehicles, find places to park them, get the Getaround device installed in them, which for those who don't know, the Getaround device is something that you have to go to a Getaround approved dealer to have it installed. And what that allows them to do is put a device in it that allows people that are renting the vehicle from you to unlock and lock the cars right from their phone. So everything's remote through Getaround. You don't actually have to go meet the guest, and the pictures fall on the guest to take, so that's why it's a little bit more passive sometimes in Turo, but we'll get more into that within the pros and cons. But anyways, had the 11 vehicles, got all of my bonuses, ended up making a pretty good summer out of it with the guaranteed earnings. And then I went into Turo full force, and then got rid of my Getaround fleet for a few reasons I'll go over in this video. So to give you a background on Turo first. Turo was founded in 2010. Its headquarters is in San Francisco, California, and it is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform that allows private car owners to rent their vehicle out to others. It positions itself as a unique alternative to traditional car rental services, offering a wide variety of vehicles from economy cars to luxury models. Turo has a wide reach. It's available in multiple countries, including the USA, Canada, and parts of Europe. Turo offers a diverse fleet where hosts can list any type of vehicle catering to different customer needs. There's various insurance options and plans to cover damages during rentals, and flexible pricing, allowing hosts to set their own prices with the option for dynamic pricing based on demand. So between Turo and Getaround, Turo is definitely number one when it comes to car sharing. That's the brand that everybody's starting to know, if not already knows, within the American economy. Getaround and HireCar are still brands where when I talk to people, most of them haven't heard of it, but most people at the time of this video have at least heard of Turo. So that definitely gives them a competitive advantage with being the name on everyone's mind. So when you're thinking car rentals now, you do think of Turo. Getaround may get there eventually, but it is a different demographic than the average Turo renter, where Turo is going to have that diverse range of vehicles I mentioned, from luxury to economy. Where Getaround, you're gonna find more economy. All right, now let's discuss Getaround. So Getaround was founded in 2009. Its headquarters is also in San Francisco, California. Getaround is a car sharing service that emphasizes convenience and technology, particularly through its keyless entry system. It aims to provide an effortless rental experience for both car owners and renters, focusing primarily on urban areas. The key features of Getaround are keyless entry. You can use the Getaround Connect system, allowing renters to unlock and drive the car without meeting the owners. It also offers hourly rentals, which is different than Turo, where it supports short-term rentals, which is particularly attractive in the urban settings. And as far as insurance insurance coverage, it offers comprehensive insurance for vehicles during rental periods, but that's not something that the host gets to choose, and the host also doesn't get to choose pricing like Turo, so Getaround has more of the control. Getaround has a strong presence in major cities, catering to urban dwellers and short-term renters. So when I started on Getaround, one thing that I noticed that was very interesting, people would sometimes rent the car for only an hour or two, which is something that was very different than my hire car experiences. This is because it is in more urban areas, and sometimes people do use them to do, say, DoorDash, Uber, and other things of that nature, which wasn't allowed at the time of me actually using Getaround, but I would notice that people would still use the car to do those services because they would leave their Uber stickers and other signs of doing Uber within the vehicle. But ever since then, it's changed, and since they acquired Hire Car, they do allow Uber and DoorDash drivers to use their vehicles. Not every car is eligible to use Getaround vehicles to rent to Uber drivers, and it depends on the city you're in as well as the year, make, and model of your vehicle. So before listing, make sure you check with a local Getaround representative if that's a business plan you're looking to get into. So both platforms are very similar in some ways and also very different. So let's talk about some of the similarities between the two. So both of these are peer-to-peer models. Both platforms allow private car owners to rent out their vehicle to other individuals. Insurance coverage. Each offer insurance to protect both the vehicle and the renter during the rental period. User-friendly. Both provide easy-to-use websites and mobile apps for managing listings, bookings, and customer communications. Revenue generation. Both offer an opportunity for car owners to generate income for their vehicles. Both platforms aim to simplify the car rental process and provide flexibility for both renters and owners. After using both companies, I find both of their apps very straightforward and easy to use, both from the renter side and the owner side. So I don't really have a preference between the systems. As far as pricing goes, when Getaround had those bonuses, I definitely preferred them when it came to the revenue because I had guaranteed earnings plus $1,000 bonus per car, so it's very hard to beat. So if that is something that you're noticing in your area, I really do suggest taking advantage of those promotions. But Turo, on average, earns a little bit more money than Getaround. And that comes down to the clientele renting the cars a little bit longer and just being able to charge a little bit more on the platform. So the same car that you put on Getaround and Turo, I would say on average, the Turo car in my market would do around 15 to 20% more in revenue. Now let's discuss the differences between Turo and Getaround. Keyless entry versus traditional key exchange. So Turo typically requires manual key exchange between the host and the renter, though some hosts use lockboxes or delivery options. Getaround uses the Getaround Connect system for keyless entry, allowing renters to access the car without meeting the owner. So one thing I really did like about Getaround was the Getaround Connect devices when they worked. So I had a few issues with some, and I blame the person that installed the Getaround Connects within my local area. There was only one vendor to go to, and I think he messed up a few of the vehicles. And I let Getaround support know that, but they never got back to me and fixed the issue, which is one of the reasons I got off of the Getaround platform, because we were having just wiring issues after putting the devices in for maybe 3 out of the 10 cars, which still was a significant hit that I had to take offline and then have a mechanic look at after the device was installed. But for the devices that did work, I really liked this system. I liked that the responsibility was on the renter to take the photos of the car, and I also like how simple it was that it allowed them just to unlock from their phone. So I like what Getaround was doing. I think the system made sense to make the platform more seamless. The income was a little bit more passive. And another thing they did too, which I didn't mention before, when it came to insurance, you were able to see the car within 72 hours, I believe, at the time. And so you had 72 hours to report an accident, where Turo only gives you 24 hours. So that's how I was able to put the cars in the multiple zip codes and then go see them every few days. So it wasn't a daily thing of having to drive to these. It was a 2-time-a-week thing, which made it a lot more manageable. And the app did provide a lot of value when it came to that. With Turo though, I've perfected that system, and I also have a contactless pickup system where I'm able to use lockboxes and do remote key exchange because of the systems that we built at carrentalcoach.com. If you're interested in learning those, you can book a call with us at carrentalcoach.com. So really not too much of a difference between the two when it comes to the keyless entry once you have those systems perfected, but for somebody just starting out, Getaround is definitely easier. Number 2, rental duration. So Turo primarily supports daily and longer term rentals suitable for trips, vacations, or temporary car needs. Getaround offers hourly rentals in addition to daily rentals, catering to short-term, spontaneous rental needs often found in city settings. So trip duration. I mentioned with Getaround, sometimes I would have a trip that would only last for a few hours, versus Turo, where the shortest trip I've ever had is a day. So the pros of that with Turo are that you don't have to clean the car after a 1 hour trip where it may not be worth it, where you're maybe only earning, say, $15, $20. So overall, the advantage goes to Turo when it comes to trip duration, because I found the 1 hour trips to be more of a headache than a profit maker. And with Getaround, you're not able to put any limitations on that. Like I said, that platform dictates what you're doing, where Turo does give you more control over the experience being the owner. Geographic availability. So Turo is available in multiple countries, including widespread availability in North America and Europe. Getaround, while also international, has a stronger focus on urban areas and may not be as widely available outside major cities. So like I said before, Turo is definitely top dog in the rental car sharing industry. Getaround does come at number 2, and then I would put HireCar at number 3. Well, Getaround did acquire HireCar, but they still are different companies. Like I said earlier, when you're talking car sharing and car rentals, most of America knows now what Turo is, but I still find it very rare for people to talk to me about Getaround and understand what that system is. Unless they're driving Uber or doing something like that, then maybe they have heard of it. But for the average American consumer, Getaround is still pretty unknown from my experiences. And because of the Getaround nature of how it works, it's only really in major cities where you will find Turo still in some rural areas. So that gives Getaround a little bit less reach just because of how the system's made to be used. All right, fleet diversity. Turo allows for a broader range of vehicles, including specialty and luxury cars, making it attractive for diverse car renter preferences. Getaround focuses more on everyday vehicles suitable for urban driving and short-term needs. So I wouldn't really say there's a pro or a con to this. Myself, I rent all economy cars on the Turo platform, and I rented these same type of cars when I did Getaround. With Turo, I did buy them a little bit newer because they had different requirements than Getaround did, but I still believe that with any of these platforms, the best way to make money is to rent economy. When you look at luxury cars and you look at the depreciation, just the way certain guests may use the vehicle and other costs, economy cars always seems to be the way to go. And that's what I've stuck with since I've started, and that's what's allowed me to maximize my returns. Talk to other hosts in the game as well, and most people agree that economy is the best way to make money. Sure, if you want to get a luxury car because it's like your dream car and you want to make the payment on it and rent it out, that probably is a good way to eventually buy your dream vehicle without having to spend the money out of pocket. But it's not something I would pursue as a business decision. That's more so just because you want to get a cool car, which I don't blame you, but we're here to make money and discuss on how to grow a fleet, not just to drive the dream car 10 years after you put it on the platform. All right, we talked about the similarities. Now let's get into the pros and the cons of each platform. So we're going to start with Turo. Turo has a wide reach and high demand. Turo has a massive user base, which means your car is likely to get more visibility and bookings, whether you're in a major city or a popular travel destination. There's a high demand for rentals. Like I said, everybody knows about Turo. If you put your car on there, it is very likely you're going to get your first rental within a week. Flexible pricing. You actually have control over your pricing when using Turo. Turo even offers automatic pricing, suggestions based on demand, which can help you maximize your earnings. So like I said, I like that Turo allows you to price your vehicle. With Getaround, you're not able to do that. Getaround prices the vehicle based on their own algorithm, and you have no control as the host, which is something I wasn't a fan of, especially when you can make more money during higher demand times on Turo. It's nice being able to have the control yourself and not having to have a company do everything for you. The third pro for Turo is insurance coverage. So Turo offers 4 different insurance plans that you can use, while Getaround only has 1. So based on the risk you feel like taking and how much you want to earn, you can make anywhere from 65% to 90% of the trip's earnings with Turo. And the different insurance plans you choose come with different deductibles and a few other qualities. But I like it because if I have more cars and want to be more aggressive and take the 90 plan where I make 90% of the earnings, I can. With Getaround, they don't give you that option. It's a flat 70% when I rent it. And I believe that you should have the choice to pick the insurance plan. So that's another pro on Turo because it puts more money in your pocket. And the last pro of Turo is the vehicle variety. So certain cars you may have or want to rent out would not be allowed on Getaround, and you could put them on Turo. So it's nice being able just to have the option to put on the luxury vehicles if you choose so. Which I said I do own the economy, but if you do have a luxury car sitting there and you want to make extra income, that's not something you could put on Getaround. So again, that's a pro in Turo's corner. Not everything's perfect with Turo, so let's get into the cons. So the biggest con about Turo, which there's not really much you can do about it, is the competition. Turo is highly competitive, and not everybody will succeed on the platform unless they're running it like a real business, which is how you should run it. You are renting cars to people, but right now, there are a lot of users on Turo, and it can make it hard for you to make your fleet stand out. That's why we suggest going to carrentalcoach.com before you start, or even when you are starting, to help you maximize your return on investment. And the second con of Turo is the service fees. So Turo does something where they add trip fees onto the guest trip, and I've seen this range from like $100 to $200 extra that they pocket themselves and you receive nothing of. I know they do this to help cover the risk of certain clients, and they have a few other factors that go into the algorithm when calculating that, but sometimes that can make it too expensive for guests, and the high trip fees are a con when the host isn't receiving any of them. Now let's switch gears and go into Getaround, the second largest car sharing platform, and we're going to get into the pros. So the first Getaround pro is keyless entry. Getaround offers a keyless entry system called Getaround Connect. This technology makes it super easy for renters to access your car without needing to coordinate key exchanges. So like I said, I really liked Getaround Connect and how the system worked and how it put more of the responsibility on the person renting the car when it came to insurance, and also just the seamless interaction with them using the app and having to contact you less. But like I said, I did have a few devices with issues, which could have been just based on the person that installed them within my area. So that is a pro overall, and hopefully if you do Getaround, you have somebody better to install the devices in your area than I did. And remember, you can't pick the mechanic shop that you want. They have to be Getaround approved, and unfortunately in my area, we only had one person. Number two, Getaround bonuses. So since Getaround's number two, they're still looking to prove themselves and take market cap from Turo. So pay attention to different months, different promotions, especially when summer comes up during the year. Sometimes Getaround will do these bonuses, and that's a great time to list your car, which Turo, since they're so well known, they're not going to offer any bonuses at this time. So the third pro is the Getaround's urban focus, which means you're allowed to rent to Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers, which is something that Turo does not allow at the time of this video. So the nice thing about that is sometimes those one-day rentals on Getaround can turn into months because people are using these vehicles to earn actual income, which I find to be a pro. It means less maintenance, less work on your end, less checking up on the guests. As long as you get somebody good renting your vehicle, it can become very, very passive, which Turo, usually my trips have been like 3 to 5 days on average, but I do have a few guests that rent from me consistently, and I do have a few out there for months at a time. So being able to rent to Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers is a big pro in my opinion. So the cons of Getaround, I would say the availability and demand for it is a con. So even though there's less competition, your area may not be able to sustain a Getaround business unless you're around a major city. So that would be a con, since most people in the United States might not be able to actually start and scale a very successful Getaround business at the time of this video, which gives Turo the edge there. And the second thing that I don't like about Getaround are the fees. You don't get to pick the insurance plan, and they take higher amounts of your earnings. So from my experience, I've made more money on Turo, and also having to park the cars in those special zip codes to receive the bonuses added extra overhead to my earnings to even put them in these car lots that I would rent. So with Turo, they don't require your vehicle to be in any zip code, but they also don't offer bonuses. So with Getaround, you don't have to put your car in a certain zip code to rent it, but certain ones are going to be a lot more beneficial, and unless you're putting it near the city, it's probably not going to rent that well. So if you're looking for a platform with a broad reach, flexible pricing, and a variety of vehicle options, Turo might be your best bet. It's perfect for those who want to cater to both everyday drivers and tourists looking for unique rides. However, if you're in an urban area and want to leverage tech features like keyless entries, and if you're okay with higher fees for potentially higher convenience, Getaround could be the way to go. It's ideal for hosts looking to offer short-term rentals and a seamless rental process. So myself, I use Turo primarily. I do not do any more cars on Getaround. I took them all off, put them on Turo. And the reason I do that is the bonuses went away and I ended up making more money on Turo. And to be honest, the clientele with Getaround beats your cars up a little bit more than the Turo guests do. You know, you could run into bad renters on any platform. With Getaround, it brought people that were more willing to damage the vehicle without turning it in. But at the time of this video, I'm on Turo and I'm looking to start putting some cars on HireCar, which Getaround now owns. And which I said before, Getaround now owns HireCar. And HireCar is made for lower end economy vehicles to rent right to Uber drivers. So it is different than Getaround, where there is no technology installed and the requirements are a little less strenuent when it comes to the vehicles you're allowed to put on. So it's at this time, Getaround's kind of like this weird one that's in the middle of the two platforms, where HireCar is extremely low end vehicles, Turo's like economy to HireCar, and then Getaround's this weird one in the middle, which is why I don't really like it, because I think the money is either doing Turo or HireCar. And that's why I like to do a combination of both of the two. And that's why I don't use Getaround anymore. The bonuses went away, the vehicles will come back dirty, and sometimes with damage without being reported. And I don't have to worry about just hour-long trips that weren't really worth having to go back and check on the vehicle If I had different systems in place, Getaround might have been worth it, but still, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie, and Turo's brought me more income in. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Your choice depends on your location, your car, and your personal preferences. Why not try both and see what works best for you? So if you're interested in building out your rental car fleet business like we have, make sure to like and subscribe to this video, and then also go to carrentalcoach.com to book a call with us and take our quick 60-second survey. And if you want to know the difference between doing private rentals and doing rentals through platforms like Turo, click the video right here.